Morning. Hey, everybody. It's May 6th, Wednesday. I hate that light shines right there. Sorry. Today we're doing quadrilaterals. Okay? Quadrilaterals. Fancy, fancy. Four-sided figures. This is probably going to be a little bit of a confusing video, so please make sure you watch it. Okay? I've told you throughout the school year that quadrilaterals is one of the most confusing things that we talk about in fifth grade. And so I'm not going to go quite into as much detail as I would if we were in the classroom and I could really go over it with you together in person, but I do have to still kind of explain some of it to you. So let's talk about the week. So Monday, triangles. You guys did a nice job. Tuesday, yesterday, polygons. Some of you way brushed through those sheets. Most of you did fantastic. A handful of you didn't even count the sides, or you counted the sides and wrote 5 but then wrote octagon, or counted the sides and wrote 10 but there was only 9 sides. You have to be really careful and really count those sides when you do it. And if there's 7 sides, look up what the name of a 7-sided figure is. If you don't do that on the quiz for Thursday, you're going to get a lot of stuff wrong that you shouldn't get wrong. Okay, so please, please, please make sure you take your time counting the sides. Okay, so today you are going to okay, now pay attention. You're going to watch this video. After you watch this video, you're going to open a quadrilateral worksheet. And the quadrilateral worksheet is just going to have a bunch of pictures of quadrilaterals. I want you to look at them and make sure that you could identify them. Like, oh, that's a rectangle. Oh, that's a square. Oh, that's a trapezoid. Okay? The answer key is right there as well. It's on the second page. So just scroll down. Make sure you know what they are. I know some of you are not going to do this because you're going to say, oh, she's not checking it. You're right, I'm not checking it. It's the honor system. All right? So I'm hoping you will look at those shapes and make sure you know what they are. After that, you're not submitting that anywhere. After that, you're going to go and do a quadrilateral nearpod. I really like the quadrilateral nearpod. It is graded. So I can see oh, Johnny got them all right. Or, oh, Johnny, he got a 50%. It gives me a number. So I know how you're doing on quadrilaterals. So don't just start circling random stuff and drawing random lines. You have to pay attention because it gives me an awesome report where it has your name and it tells me how you did on the matching or how you did on the multiple choice or the drawing part. I guess that's matching. Make sure you take your time. Make sure you hit submit, because if you don't hit submit, then it won't come through, and then I'm going to be emailing you saying you didn't do your work for the day. So make sure you hit submit. Also, most importantly, make sure you put your first, end, last name, and your section. If you put all 3 things, first name, last name, section, you get an extra credit point for your quiz for tomorrow. Okay? So make sure you have those 3 things. All right. So let me get to this lesson. It might be a little bit of a longer lesson, and I apologize, but you have to pay attention. We have some quadrilaterals up here. I know you can see them. It's not, maybe I should use a different color. When you were 3-4 years old, people told you what a square was. A square is still a square. A square. Okay? When you were 3-4 years old, you learned what a rectangle was. A rectangle is still a rectangle. They have right angles, 4 right angles. The square is all equal around it. Rectangle has 4 right angles. Opposite sides are equal. Okay? Opposite sides are congruent. That's the other word. The other word that we use is parallel. So this side is parallel to this side. Remember, parallel lines are lines that never touch. Like railroad tracks are parallel lines. They never touch. Okay? This line and this line are parallel. They're never going to touch. Okay? So, square, rectangle. This looks like a slanted rectangle. We call him a parallelogram. Okay? He does not have right angles. Okay? But his opposite sides are still equal, and his opposite sides are still parallel. Okay? But no right angles. Then there's this guy. He looks kind of like a diamond. Okay? His fancy name is a rhombus. Okay? But he looks kind of like a diamond. All of his sides are equal. So if this is 4, this is 4, this is 4, and this is 4. Okay? But he doesn't have to have right angles. His sides just have to be the same. Okay? Trapezoid, one set of parallel sides. Okay? And then this is a kite. Yes, like that you would fly in the air. All right? So those are your main six quadrilaterals that you need to know. All right? Now, they're in your Nearpod. I'm going to draw you a picture right now, and it's going to confuse some of you, but I really need you to try to pay attention. This is what we would have done in class if we were together. I put at the top quadrilateral. I'm going to split my quadrilateral into two things. I'm going to split it into parallelograms, okay, long word, and non-parallelograms. So you really have two types of quadrilaterals. You have ones that are parallelograms and ones that aren't parallelograms. So the ones that are parallelograms are rectangles and rhombuses. So the two R's. That makes it really easy. Okay? Down below them is your square. So all of these things are parallelograms. On the other side over here, we have trapezoids and we have kites. Okay? They're not parallelograms. So some people get confused. This is confusing stuff. I understand that. But if we have a parallelogram, so this is a parallelogram. Remember, he's slanted. Okay? The definition of parallelogram is opposite sides are parallel and opposite sides are equal. Well, a rectangle has that. His opposite sides are parallel and his opposite sides are equal. A rhombus, his opposite sides are parallel and his opposite sides are equal. And a square, same thing. Okay? So that's why all of these are parallelograms. Okay? A trapezoid, his opposite sides are not parallel. He only has one set of parallel sides. You need to know that. One set of parallel sides. These guys all have two sets of parallel sides. Okay? That's why they're parallelograms, because they have two sets. And then you have your kite. Okay? All right. Sorry. It gets a little confusing. So the reason why we do this diagram is because of things like this. This is where it gets weird. So if I see a picture, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a square. I know, here's my square. And then I say, oh, my square is also everything above it. So my square is not only a square, my square is also a rectangle. My square is also a rhombus. My square is a parallelogram. My square is a quadrilateral. My square is a polygon. Okay? Polygon should be written up here. I apologize. Okay? If I look at a picture and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a rectangle. I say, oh, it's a rectangle. It's also a parallelogram and it's a quadrilateral. Okay? So you work your way up the drawing. And then anything above it, it is that. So if I said to you, is a square a trapezoid? Well, square is not a trapezoid because they are on two different branches. So they have to be on the same branch. And he's over here, so a square can't be a trapezoid. Okay? But if I asked you if a rhombus is a parallelogram, yeah, a rhombus is a parallelogram because parallelogram's right above it on the same branch. Okay? It's very confusing. I know. And you're going to do it again. You'll definitely do it in geometry. Okay? Now, you might say, well, what if we go the opposite way? If I see a rectangle, is a rectangle a square? No, it doesn't have to be. So I talked about this in class one day. You want to start with the most specific name. So, like, if I see my son, Davin, I could say, oh, I don't say, oh, there's a person. I say, oh, there's Davin, okay? I pick the most specific name for the person. Oh, there's Billy, there's Mary, there's Joey, there's Casey, there's Shira, there's Karen. I pick the most specific name. I don't say, oh, there's she, there's it, there's person, okay? I say their specific name. So when you look at the shape, you want to say the most specific name, like, oh, that's a square, okay? Or that's a rectangle. You give that name first, and then you work your way up. So I say, oh, there's Mr. Curry, and then I say, oh, not only is he Mr. Curry, but he's also a boy, and he's also an adult, and he's also a person, he's a human. So those are all different names that I could say for him. So when I see that square, I don't say, oh, it's a parallelogram. I say, it's a square. It's also a rectangle, a rhombus, a parallelogram, and a quadrilateral. Okay? So I know that's super confusing, and I'm sorry. The main thing you need to be able to do for your Nearpod today is look at pictures and point out what's a rectangle and what's a square and what's a parallelogram. So you're going to have all these shapes, and they're going to say circle the parallelograms. You need to know what a parallelogram looks like, okay? You need to know what a rectangle looks like. You need to know what a square looks like. You need to know what a trapezoid looks like. A trapezoid can also look like this, one set of parallel sides. So these are parallel, and now he has 2 right angles, which is fine. They have to have 4 right angles, okay? They might also turn the trapezoid on its side. That's fine. They can do that. Don't worry about if it's in a different way. Sorry. Okay, so you're going to watch this super long video. I'm sorry, we're at almost 12 minutes. You're going to look at the practice sheet and check your answers. Do not submit it. And then you're going to go to your Nearpod, and you're going to make sure you have that stuff on there so that you can get the extra credit. Make sure you hit submit. I'm going to be just checking Nearpod all day long to see what your scores are. Okay, so just take your time and look anything up you need to on the internet. If you don't know what a parallelogram is, search what a parallelogram is, okay? And your little quiz is going to be a Nearpod on Thursday, okay? And that's all I got for you guys. I'm sorry if this confused you. Just try your best. This is one of the most confusing things we do in 5th grade, and I just want you to be able to really just identify what those main quadrilaterals are, okay? Keep up the great work. You guys are doing a great job this week, okay? And that's all I got for ya. All right, happy Wednesday. Bye.